Hey folks, are you enjoying the conference so far? It will end up now. So, I'm here today to bring you to the dark sides of Angular performance, because Minka has a performance, I have a dark side of performance, so let's try to figure out which one is the better for you. But before we'll get started to even go into I will say a couple more things about myself. My kid is Valor Software, what I have after it in several years. And in Jigs Bootstrap, if you want to, grab something from Jigs Bootstrap, you are welcome. If you want to get in touch with me, you see my handle on the Twitter. And if you want to have a free beer afterwards, if you will be able to convince Google Translate in Russian that you're able to pronounce my second name correctly, just drop me a screenshot. So, some notes that mature code will be used. You don't have to read it, because it's useless. Maybe after some ideas, you will have to get drunk to even forget it. And let's get to the topic. Speaking about performance, you can speak for days, because there are so many things you should know, or probably should know, or you have seen so far. But we have only 20 minutes to get on top of it. So let's speak about things which does matter for Angular most of all. One of those is you guys, folks, forgive me, and it's assets budgeting. Thanks God, yesterday we already know what it is, and it's already shipped to Angular CLI. So why does it matter? What we use from this part of performance matters. We already use bundle splitting, we use lazy loading, we use dead code elimination, tree shaking, a lot of other magic words, you know. But question is, does it work for you or not? The most easiest way to bring it to the dark side is to write something incorrectly. This is what users can do. And when I say users, I mean developers. It's so easy. Just import observable from the wrong place, and most probably you will see that bundle size will be increased on 200 kilobytes for nothing, because all those fancy tools mostly suited for ECMAScript 6, not for the 5 version. But what other things we see on this slide? It's developer experience. For no good reason, your build became 2 times slower. If you say that, oh my God, nobody does this, everybody knows that shit, it does. So, takeaway number 1, developer experience does matters. Folks who are a bit of older know what is nightly build, when you was waiting for 4 or 5 hours when it was building, and now we complain about 10 seconds build for production, you know. So, let's move further. Angular is based on, or using explicitly TypeScript, and all of the things on the right part, which are green one, will be compiled to JavaScript. How many of you know how does this compilation works, what you will get in your bundles, in your JavaScript? And what we know about TypeScript pitfalls at all. So, idea is that TypeScript should give us some kind of type safety, some kind of insurance. But what really is happening is that TypeScript gives us illusion of type safety. Perfect code, passes all checks, strict now, all types is there, all good. But some of you may have team members who tired of all these types in TypeScript and all this hard to learn thing, and just can put and use it in the way it's not supposed to. But it's fine for TypeScript, it will work, it will compile. So, takeaway number 2, stay paranoid and trust no one. One of the easiest solutions to fix this issue is to use type guards. Really? It's, you can check it, sure. Catch. It will affect your performance in best negative way. Don't trust me too. So, let's see a couple more things we can see if we'll disable source maps, and we'll check how TypeScript compiles your code to JavaScript. Generator functions. Remember this like mainstream, oh, generator functions, we will rewrite all our code to generators. No, it was like that, but eventually no one uses them. It appears. So, let's take a look on one line function, like it's small, and compile it. Oops. So it's actually, this is where our code lives. And all this big thing is just a helper for you. So it should help you to understand your code better. So generator is basically a state machine. But we will not go there. It's not interesting, right? Async await. Yeah, it just promises, right? Let's use async await all the way. Like in our Angular application, it's so easy to replace promises with it, yeah? Let's write small one-line function of async function and compile it with Typescript. Oops. You can see an awaiter and the same generator and your awesome code inside. So, you have two versions. Async await like native one and Typescript compiled. Which one will be faster? Who was trying to dig the performance of this thing before even using or promoting like, let's move to async await, it's a cool feature. Most of the folks say that it's native async await. Pff, comparing to this monster, no, it's really not. For some reason, TypeScript version of async await with state machine will work even faster. Just a bit. Next takeaway, always test your assumptions, because they could be wrong. Because whatever you think, it could be completely different when you make it alive and test it. Let's move further. Build again. We have a tool which was not available for years, ahead of time compilation. When we say that, we are not putting in the idea of it. Imagine you have JavaScript, now TypeScript, with type safety, and you are able to check it before run it. But what is more interesting is that now you can compile your HTML and check that all things you use inside of HTML is correct one. You was calling proper methods with proper attributes. It was not available like several years ago before Angular. You was not able to check. It was a black box. So let's slightly open the door and to see what goes inside of it. Ahead of time compilation, and my favorite one is Elvis still alive. Of course, it's a nice thing to do because, you know, as Scott says, we have a limited amount of keystrokes on keyboard in our life, and Elvis helps us to save several. And you can find these pieces of delightful code when you're not sure about your code structure or what you will get from the backend. But how it will be compiled to JavaScript? It's delightful. Yes, it does some checks. You know, it does the work for you. It compiles, and it will really check what it's supposed to be. But if it's used too much, you know, it does cost for your performance. So what it would be better? To think about upfront about your structure of data, or to kill your Angular performance. But let's add one more awesome feature, which I love a lot. It's called observables. No, I'm not joking, I really love it. It's called observables and async pipe. If you open the internet when it was released, like, oh my god, async pipes is so awesome, you don't need to subscribe to your observables. Let's all get and use it. Sure we do. And this is pretty easy code, like for user profile, and most everybody could do it. So we have a user, we have a sync pipe, and then Elvis, and we get in some fields from it. And if it's called observable, it's fine because it will get it, yeah, from backend twice, or even more times. Let me rephrase it. If you're using called observables, which are linked directly to HTTP request, and you're populating them several times, for each time it will create a request to the backend. It's nice for performance. Really is. Folks on the social say that the async pipe will be remembered as humanity's greatest achievement. Really. And of course, nobody will use like async pipes on top of HTTP request, for sure. Even for loading images. So it really happens, and there are a lot of options how to solve this issue. There are ngIf syntax, there are share operator in the RxJS. You can use behavioral subjects which will store the latest state. You can use promises, So now each time you will open some kind of tutorial, which another bright idea how to increase performance of Angular, and you will see such kind of piece of code. You will know how much it will cost for your application after it will be compiled. The main takeaway for this piece is always look under the hood. Until you know how it works underneath of syntax sugar you use, like Typescript, HTML, Angular. Because Angular for me is a syntax sugar for web components, basically. And it's really nice and easy and much easier to use than web components directly. And let's move further. Let's improve Angular performance release. Or should I say, improving your code performance. Improving Angular performance, in my opinion, if you have figured out some kind of performance issue in Angular itself, made a pull request, and made Angular core faster. If it's not, it's your application, and you're completely responsible for performance of your application. So let's speak about performance of your applications, and of course, we will speak about change detection, next admins, for sure. And the first thing that Captain Obvious says to us, you definitely should use on push. Everybody says, it's cool, it's nice, it's easy, right? Real question is, how many of you are using on push change detection by default for your new components? You know, you create a new component, and you straight ahead go and enable on push, and then write in your HTML and your code. How many of you? No one? At least once? Yeah, just don't be ashamed. It's really cool. So I'm not only the one. So it's demo time, sure. Everybody fails this time for this demo. My turn. Don't fail completely. I will not run the code, so you'll have to trust me. Idea is that most of the things you do could be simplified to some kind of, view. You have your dependency injection, you have your services which provides you data, and you display it. But it could not be on push release. So how hard will it be to convert this piece of code to on push? Most probably everybody heard of you about the idea of dumb views and smart services. How many of you have applied this idea? Yeah, it's much better now. So let's even call it like, I will call it in Russian so you cannot spell it. It will be just user profile view. Then I will apply mega refactoring, like to increase the code, increase performance in several times. Magic word on push, please. Yes. Now we are fast. Even without template, it will work even faster. And now magic, just magic refactoring part. Yeah. Do you feel this better? It's already unpushed, almost. Now, what you need to do is to link your kind of data to give it away. So you have a component which has a dependency injection to the service, and this component should have a way to drop the data inside of it. And this works just perfectly because when you use Angular CLI, it will say to you that you have forgot to add inputs for your user. And then if it has fields, Typescript will say to you that you forgot to define some fields inside of the class for the user. So even if you're just starting to do the thing, it will tell you what to do. You feel yourself, professional developers. Your compile tools will say to you almost all you need to do to convert the thing to something new. Oh my God, we did it. Now we have a component with on push. It's just a view, dump view, and smart container with a service, and it will work, most probably. So, real question is, to all of the thing, that applying on push is really, really easy. Because, I don't know, I suppose I didn't even fail a lot. Let's move further. After this part of the presentation, my best hope is to move outside from here alive, because folks who was writing best practices are here. But still, I have a proof for my words, so I should be relaxed. We have several ngFor versions how to use. We can use it with native DOM, we can use it with ngTemplate, or we can use it with component which has selector as a directive, and it will replace internal part of the element it's attached to, and it's kind of bad practice. So, question is, which one of those will be the fastest one? Most folks says that native DOM for sure should be the fastest one, correct? Because it's native. In reality is, ngTemplate, even for me it was a surprise, ngTemplate will be the slowest one, unfortunately. I have no idea why. I was not improving Angular performance, I was improving performance of my application, so forgive me, I didn't go there. Native DOM was even slower than bad practice component. It seems completely counterintuitive, but doubling the amount of your components could make your application faster. Best practices are not the fastest one. They build to make your code consistent. Because you write in your code for machines, now you're writing for humans. So some maniac who will read your code and know where you live will be satisfied with its quality. To sum up last two parts, converting to push components is easy, relatively easy, and doubling the amount of components doesn't hurt your performance. So, what you can do when you get back to your computers is really simple version of applying on push. You will have your dump views, smart containers, and services for no cost. For some reason, under the radar goes a lot of really nice things which are available on change detection reference. Not sure why, but they're really simple. You know, this kind of components, directives you apply to your application but never see them, like second page on Google search, you know? You know such kind of components? You know it for sure. It's tooltips, popovers, models, typeheads, whatever dynamic component injection you have, it is already on your page. You don't see it, user don't see it, but it drains your performance. It does. And by simply using several of those, like detach it from change detection, because you don't care about it until it's shown. Just make it fast and move on. Next best thing is rendering and view emulation. There are, hey Mike, we'll speak about Angular CLI default templates. So the thing is, view encapsulation by default is disabled. Yesterday we heard that by default it's simulated, it's not true. But as soon as you have got styles URLs linked to file, even if it's empty, Angular will help you and will enable emulated version of view encapsulation. It's so nice. For empty file, just enable one another mode to emulate encapsulation of an empty file. But you know, if without it, it will not work, of course. And there are several options you can actually use with Angular. If you will remove this nice style URL link to empty file, your code will become for 10% faster. Just for nothing, just for removing one line and empty files. When it's enabled, when you have those links, your code slower, because it's simulated. But where Angular is really shines when you enable Shadow DOM, but we'll speak about it. It's called native. When it's supported, Angular faster any other frameworks we have on the market. This is where it really does shines. Unfortunately, topics we can cover in 20 minutes are pretty limited. But hopefully you will have a time at some moment, maybe I will get you interested in, to go on to try figure it out where is this magic place where ngIf hides your components or DOM elements when it hides them, or why you should avoid zone.js, why it's bad, or why I hate browser module because it gives you everything you need, but even more than that. How much input a host brings affects your performance. Why should you keep it under 5? Why immutable is bad? It's really bad if used wrongly. It's funny, isn't it? Yeah? But it's not funny for him. You know the difference? You know how his tool works, and he does not. Get the idea? For those folks who does not know what he's doing, it will be not funny picture. He's doing everything correctly. For those who knows how his tool works and how he could make his work more performant, this one looks funny. Same for developers. As soon as you know how your tools works, you perform better. If you don't, so hopefully I was able to plant some seeds of doubts, and you should go and figure it out on your own which part of those was true or not. So enjoy the conference. Thank you so much for attention.